everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So, this video is kind of the promised story time video that I told you about in my last video. I have some beer because I feel like I need it when I talk about this. It's a San Miguel beer, which is Spanish, and I always drink it when I'm in Spain, and I love it. And they do sell it here, so I got some. So, let me just dive into the story. So, in September, actually I'll go back a little bit farther. I have a patio out back, and I am not very good at maintaining it. And I'll be honest about that. I'm lazy, and I don't have a green thumb. I don't really know how to take care of plants. They always drown here because it rains so much, and I'm too lazy to pull out all the weeds. And if I'm being perfectly honest as well, my back is always really, really sore when I do it. So, my parents usually come over once a year, and they always take care of my patio, which sounds bad, I know, but they love doing stuff like that, and I don't. So, they always make sure that the weeds are gone and that the bushes get trimmed a little bit. But because of COVID, they hadn't been over in 2 years. So it had really overgrown with weeds. The bushes had gotten so wide that some of them, like one of them, was growing through the door of my shed. And I was like, I need to do something about this because it's going to break the shed. And it just doesn't look nice. So in the summer, some guy came around and put flyers through everyone's mailbox for his gardening business. Now, since I was thinking about getting a gardener, I was like, oh my god, this is perfect. New guy, probably new guy starting his own business. I'll contact him. So in September, I sent him an email, and he called me and was like, yeah, I'll come over and take a look at your patio and what needs to be done. I said, okay. So he did. And then he called me afterwards and was like, yeah, I can come over on this day and, take care of it. And I said, well, do you have like a cost estimate of how much it's going to cost me? And this should have been my first clue. He wouldn't give me one. He kept saying, well, what do you want to spend on it? And I said, well, I don't know how much this is supposed to cost. I said, no more than like €500. I mean, it's a small patio. And he said, oh, okay. He said, well, don't worry about it. We'll work out a good price for you. And I said, okay. So he arrived with a crew of 3 people, like 4 in total, and started working. Now, he started asking me, I have a terraced house. I'm located in between 2 houses, and then the house to my, if you're standing in front of the door, the house to my right is semi-detached, and we share an alleyway. It's how I take out my bins for collection. I have an alleyway that runs around their patio and their house, and then they have an entrance to the alleyway from their patio, and we share the alleyway. And he said, I'll clean up the alleyway as well. And I said, no, I don't need you to do that. I share it with my neighbors. And plus, I don't own this house. I don't want you to go too into detail with this patio. I just want it cleaned up and done. And I told him, I said, I bought a house. I'm going to be moving out next year. I don't need you to do, too much work. And he was like, okay, yeah, I'll throw it in for free. Now, he spent way more time on the alleyway than on my patio. But it looked fairly good, except that there was still a lot of weeds growing through, my patio is, all stone. And then in the center, it's got all pebbles. I hate it. It's ugly. I don't know who designed it that way. It's, the worst design I've ever seen of a patio. It's so ugly. But he cleaned up all the stones really well. But barely trimmed my bushes. I actually had to ask him to trim the bush that was growing through the shed because he forgot. And then he didn't pull out any of the like all the weeds that were growing through the pebbles were still there. He didn't get rid of them. And so he said, I'm going to come back in about 3 or 4 weeks and finish the job. He said, it's €700, which I thought was a lot. But I have no idea how much this costs typically. So I said, okay, I'll go to the cash machine and get it. And he said, I might have to use some more weed killer while you're gone, so it might be a little bit more expensive, but I'll let you know. In the 5 minutes that it took me to go to the cash machine and back, he said I owed him another $150 for the extra weed killer he used. And I was like, look, this is getting way more expensive than I thought. I said, I don't have that on me. And he said, well, I'm coming back in a couple of weeks anyway to finish the job. You can give it to me then. And I said, that's fine, but that's the last I'm giving you. And he said, yeah, that's fine. He came back 3 weeks later and said I owed him $300. And I said, no, you said $150. And he said, no, you misunderstood me. It's $300. Now, I just want to paint a picture here. This is a huge guy. He is really tall and really wide and comes across very intimidating. And a lot of people have been like, oh, you shouldn't have paid him. And I'm like, well, you're not a girl living alone facing this guy. He knows I live alone. I did not want to get into it with him. Like, I felt very intimidated by him. So I gave him the €300. Keep in mind at this point, this has cost me €1,000 and my patio is tiny. And I told him, I said, but the patio's only half done. And he said, yeah, but I did the whole alleyway. And I said, I told you I didn't want you to do that. You said you threw it in for free. But of course, his word against mine, he said that that's not what he said. And he was always going to charge me for it. And like this whole thing. So then he said he didn't have, he just came by for the money. He would come back on Halloween to finish the job. And he was going to do the front of my house and my parking spot. I was like, dude, no. I don't have a parking spot. These spaces belong to everyone. There isn't one that belongs to me. I don't need you to do the front of the house either. The front has no weeds. I am not paying you for anything else. You have to come back. He said he'd pull out the rest of the weeds by hand. I said, you have to come back, pull them out by hand. I am not, and you have to do it for the €300 I already paid you. I'm not paying you for any more weed killer or any more products you need to buy. This is it. And he said, yeah, I'm going to come back on Halloween. I'm going to pull out all the weeds by hand and it's going to be included in what you already paid me. And I said, great. And then he never came back. And when I went to Spain on December 11th, December 12th, he sends me a message on WhatsApp and said, I'm coming by tomorrow to finish the job. And I responded and said, no, I don't want you to. I would rather leave it as it is. And he said, sorry, can't do that. You owe me another €380 for all the stuff that I bought. And I said, no, I didn't ask you to buy any more stuff. We agreed that you would finish this job for the money I already paid you and that you would pull out the remaining weeds by hand. You didn't need any more stuff. And he said, I know, but price of product has gone through the roof. And I said, that's not my problem. I did not ask you to buy any more product. You're not supposed to need any more product for this job. But he was getting very aggressive and he was like, look, do you want me to do it or not? I need you to pay me. I'm not letting this go. Like, he was getting really aggressive. And at some point he said, pay me half, pay me $180, and I walk away. And I didn't know what to do. I was away. I wasn't home. Oh my gosh, you guys, every time since September that I spoke to this guy, I got a panic attack. Like, I was so anxious about the whole situation that I ended up paying it. Yes, stupid in hindsight, but at the same time not, because I had proof that he said this is the last bit. So I wired it to his account. He texted me the next day and said, I got it, now you owe me the rest. And at that point I got so pissed off that I blocked him. I blocked him on WhatsApp. I blocked him from calling me. I called the police in Ireland, the guards. I called the guards because I informed my landlady. She was really worried about the house, the fact that he knew I wasn't here and that the house was left alone. So I called the guards, explained the whole situation, and they were like, yeah, we've seen this many times before. Not him specifically, but the same type of scam. They put flyers through people's mailboxes, you buy their services, and then they just keep extorting you for money. They said it never turns violent, and they will give up if you stop paying him. They said, you did the right thing by blocking him everywhere. Don't give him any more money. He will eventually give up. A few days later, he called me from his wife's number. So I managed, this is another thing, I couldn't find him on Facebook before because I tried to look up reviews of his services and I couldn't find him anywhere. But I managed to find him on Facebook, and he has a wife and 3 very small kids. And then a few days later, he called me from a different number I didn't pick up, but it had the same prefix as his phone number, so I knew it was him. And then immediately after, I got a WhatsApp message from his wife. I recognized her picture from Facebook, and it just said hi. And while he, I'm assuming, used her phone, was typing the rest, I blocked the number again on WhatsApp and from calling me. And I haven't heard from him since, but he knew I was coming back in January, and I'm not gonna lie, I am afraid all the time. Part of me thinks that because he has 3 children, 3 very little children, he's not gonna do anything criminal that could land him in jail. But the fear part of my brain is in control right now. Like, I bought security cameras for the front and back door. It alerts me on my phone every time someone shows up so that I can keep an eye on it. I put a chair. I have these gates at the back of my house. The back door, kitchen window, and my bedroom window have these gates that were here in the house. And I always use them when I go away as kind of an extra deterrent for burglars or something, to see that the house is protected with gates. I have them on all the time now to kind of protect the house a little bit extra. I have a chair pushed up under the front door to make it extra hard for someone to come in. And my rational brain knows that it's very unlikely he's gonna break in the middle of the night and hurt me, because he does have a family, and I try to always keep that in mind. He has a family. He's probably just a chancer, knew I was a girl living alone, chanced his arm, and won't do anything more. But the fear part of my brain is so in control right now, and I sleep very badly. I wake up multiple times a night. It doesn't help that my house is loud. It makes a lot of noises at night, so I'm always like on high alert and get like anxiety when my house makes a noise. It's like my heart starts racing, and then I'm like, oh, it was nothing, and calms down. But yeah, every time a car drives past my house, my head jerks to the window, and I'm like, is it him? And that's bad because I live in an estate with a lot of houses behind me. Cars drive past my house all day long. Like, there's a lot of them. But I'm just really afraid. And so when I was in Spain, it was better in the last couple of weeks that I was in Spain. I think I had kind of calmed down from it a little bit and was like, it's probably not, as bad as I imagine it. But since being here alone again in this house, I'm really worried. And so while I was in Spain, I was saying to my parents, I don't want to go home. And I knew I had to. I didn't have, pack enough stuff to stay there. And also I couldn't really stay with my parents for that long. But I really wanted to be gone from here. So I booked a trip to Florida for 2 months. And in hindsight, I probably didn't need to. I do think I'm making this worse in my head than it probably is. And it's a lot of money that I didn't need to spend. But as I said in my Whispered Ramble, which I'm not. That was already in place a year ago. Everything I'm saving now is extra. So I'm using that. So I should be allowed to go. I know some Belgians living in Florida who helped me make it affordable. Well, I think I'm going to pay the same now for 2 months as I normally do for the 1 month that I tend to go every year. And I haven't been in 2.5 years. So I am now excited that I booked it. I'm really looking forward to going for 2 months. I've missed it immensely. But I did book it in a pure panic move of I need to get out of there. I don't want to be in that house for that long. And that is still a part of me. I think I'm going to be afraid for another 5 weeks until I leave. And I won't, if I come back mid-April and notice on the cameras that he hasn't been by once, then I'll feel confident that he won't bother me about it anymore. The guards seem to think that he won't bother me anymore anyway, because I made it very clear that I wasn't going to give him money and that he's not going to want to chase me for, the €180 that he wanted me to pay. Oh, sorry, foot falling asleep again. But I'm just not that confident that he's not going to show up. So, the guards have his name and his number. They said to me, if he does show up outside your door, just call us. We'll send a car around immediately to remove him from your house. So but they don't think it'll come to that. I don't want to, be thinking about stuff like that. I don't want to think about what if I see him and I have to call the guards, but it's what I'm thinking about a lot right now. He's a very intimidating person, and I'm hoping it's all talk and no action. Again, I think my rational mind is starting to take over the fear part. I slept pretty well last night for the first time, really, since I came home. I think I only woke up twice, which is pretty normal for me during the night. So, I'm hoping that I'm slowly starting to feel a little bit more relaxed and can sleep a little bit better. But I don't think I'll fully feel okay until I come back from Florida and he hasn't been here. The cameras, either way, I was planning to buy them once I bought my own house as an extra security measure. And I thought, well, I'll just buy them now. I can take them with me when I move. And because I do travel so much, they're a good way for me to keep an eye on the house when I'm not here. Like from anywhere I am, I can watch the house now. But yeah, I'm just kind of worried about it all the time. And I keep telling myself not to be, but you can't stop being afraid of something. Like, that's what it is. It's not, I can't even call it anxiety. It's pure fear over what might happen. And again, I do think I'm making it worse in my head. He does have a family. He does have kids. I don't think he's gonna do anything bad to me. I don't even know if it's worth his time to chase me for this. But I feel like he's that type of guy that when business is slow, he's gonna come back and try to get that money off me. And I won't give it. Because I really thought after that €180, because he put it in a text that would be the last bit, that I was going to be rid of it. And I wasn't. And I know that if I give him any more money, he's just going to keep coming back for more. And I can't do that. I paid €1,200 for this that I really didn't have to spare. So, well, I did. Well, no, I don't have it to spare, but obviously I have enough in my savings to travel. But I didn't want to spend that money on stuff like that. There's a lot of other things in life that I have to pay for. So yeah, that's been going on since September. It's made me very, very, it's added a lot to my anxiety, and just back then already, but now it's brought it up to a whole new level of fear. And I'm just gonna have to wait and see how it goes. it's not gonna break into my house. And then I can just sleep soundly, but that's not so easy to do when you're scared. So yeah, don't know. That was the story anyway. So I am going to Florida for 2 months. I'm gonna take my microphone with me and record there. I am really looking forward to it, don't get me wrong. It's starting to get to the point now where I'm actually really looking forward to it. I've already packed my bathing suits, which I haven't worn in 2.5 years since the last time I went, so I'm really looking forward to that. I have to go and get some dollars from the post office this week or next week. And I need to have, so I'm going to get my booster before I go. And I need to get a negative test done. So every country, including the US, does it. It's like within 3 days before you leave. But the US recently changed it to within 1 day, which makes it very, very difficult for me to get it here because in Galway, I think there's only one place that does rapid testing, and it's like a ridiculous price of I think €180, which I won't pay. Well, I paid the gardener that, but I won't pay that for testing. If it was within 3 days, I could just get it done here and get results within 24 hours, but it needs to be within 1 day. So I had a free hotel night with my hotels.com account because I stayed in hotels so much. I booked a hotel at Dublin Airport for Friday, so I'm going up on Friday already. I have a test booked at the airport at 8 p.m. It's a rapid antigen test. I only need an antigen for the US. And, well, you only need an antigen when you're vaccinated, but the US doesn't actually allow you to fly if you're not vaccinated. So you all have to be vaccinated and you all need to have a negative test. And I should get the results in an hour, so I should know that same night whether it's negative. And then I can just check in on Saturday morning and wait for my flight. Yeah. And that was that. So, yeah. That was it. I hope that I don't have to make an update video if he showed up. But I hope more so than anything that my fear can subside a